G'day and welcome to Kenty Blitz, your daily hit of NRL news. Kenty back on a Monday, big weekend.
Oh, well, big weekend for footy, wasn't it? So,
very big weekend, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, like a few scrappy games over the weekend. It wasn't what you would, package up and put in a showcase for later on.
No.
But it was an interesting weekend. Out of it came we're getting close to that situation where teams are mathematically impossible, goes the phrase.
Big red pen through them.
Yeah, finals are. So finals, every game's going to have consequences from now on. So looking forward to it.
Very good. We've got a big show today. Just before we get to that, I saw a photo of you on Friday out for lunch with a few legends.
Yeah, look, Gary Schofield, as you know, came on Primetime a couple of weeks back.
It's been hugely popular, that episode.
Hugely popular. Yeah, it's even gone back to England, actually. They're all blowing up there. Silly, look, Gary Schofield said some things about the English Rugby League over there, which was spot on. And they're in such a denial over there about what he said, that they've sort of jumped on him, and even Martin Afai's come out and had a crack at him. I think they'd do themselves a favour by sitting down and actually listening to what he said, because the game is in poor shape over there, and to try and have this smokescreen that's somehow still going okay, I think it's embarrassing for the game, to be honest. So, but we took him out for lunch just as a thank you for just being a good bloke, to be honest.
Yeah.
He came out here, South Sydney, Craig Coleman, who played with him at Leeds, South Sydney Juniors put on a big birthday party for him. A lot of people turned up to that. And he's just such a great fella. It was nice to sort of farewell him before he got on the plane home.
Yeah, fantastic. I was just going to mention your other episode of Primetime, which came out on Friday with Clint Newton. It's got some traction too.
It has, hasn't it? It's funny, because Clint and I sort of butt heads whenever we get together. Well, what people don't know is, for all the argument, and people listen to us and think, gee, they don't like each other, these two. But that we occasionally, not a lot, but occasionally we'll catch up privately and have a beer together and just a catch up. So I quite like Clint. He stands his dig. I don't agree with a lot of the principles of what they do, but I know what his motive is, and he's doing it for the right reasons from his point of view. So, but it was an interesting chat just to see where the Players Association is.
Very good. Mate, let's start off yesterday with a big surprise out of Parramatta with Dylan Brown. Dropped, or not dropped, but made to play hooker. Yeah,
it was funny, wasn't it? The reaction about it, well, he kind of was dropped, like he was put into hooker to start the game, then he was taken off, and then when Jason Ryles had the opportunity to put him to play more often, he didn't do that. They've got Talon Silva, obviously came on at hooker, so who's just recently joined the club. Big blow up from Parramatta fans, carrying on about it. What's he doing and all the rest of it. Andrew Voss in the commentary said, well, look, if this is what it's going to be like, he may as well go to Newcastle now. Well, I'm sure Parramatta would have let him go to Newcastle. Like, they cannot make the 8.
Well, just on that, why didn't it? Because we're only 2 weeks removed from the June 30 deadline.
I just don't think. Let him go. Well, they could. Look, not really, because you've got to make your salary cap work.
Okay.
So if he leaves Parramatta and goes to the Newcastle. Newcastle got to pick up a certain amount of money on the cap. Now, whether they've got enough money in there to take his salary as well, that was probably unlikely. And then they've got to get Parramatta to tip a certain amount in to take him. Now, I know there's not a long time left in this season now, in this Rugby League contract season, but it just comes down to finances. It's not as simple as it sounds that, okay, you're not going to work here, move on. He still wants to get paid. And it's just Parramatta and Newcastle figuring out how he gets paid. Look, I understood earlier in the season when Jason Ryles wanted to hang on to him. But, clearly the time, and Jason Ryles said it after the game, he said, our future is now. Okay, so Joash Papali'i was promoted to 5/8 to start the game. He's a young kid with Parramatta think he's got a big future. They want to get a look at him now. And
missed out on Galvin, so he is the future.
Yeah, and look, he comes into the side as a kid who can play, and with the fact that Parramatta, look, effectively Parramatta, I think, 7 of 8 they've got to win? Is it 7 of 8? I've written it down somewhere, but 7 of 8 they've got to win to make the 8.
So Ryles is basically
I think
put a line through himself.
Ryles has basically put a line through and said, yeah, look, we're not going to do it. And to be fair, they're not going to do it. You know, I mean, Parramatta just aren't going to win that many games in a row. So he's just taken it upon himself to say, okay, let's just give the kid a taste of first grade footy, play him a bit. Now, I don't know if he'll finish the season and play the remainder of the season. I'd say would be unlikely for him to do that. But what he'll do is give him a taste, let him get comfortable, give him some confidence. If it looks at some point where his confidence might get knocked around a little bit, just take him off. Just get him out of that situation. Like this is something they've got to now work on, Parramatta, to build him up and turn him into that player. And I think it's a really mature decision from Jason Ryles.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I know as a rookie NRL coach, he's had a great development as a coach with assistants jobs he's had. But I think it's a real positive sign that he's looking at the long-term future of this player. He's caring for the long-term future of Parramatta. And, Dylan Brown's not going to be part of that future. So why would you sit there and look after Dylan Brown? You know, as harsh as that sounds. But that's the reality of professional sport.
So
really.
Riley Smith's back next week.
Well, yeah.
De Silva's the future.
Yeah.
Is that it for Brown?
No, I don't think that's it for him. Okay. Again, look, if Papali'i comes in and plays and has something happens, Parramatta get touched up, or he has a couple of bad players that affect his confidence a little bit, Ryles might elect to take him off, rest him, settle him down, and not let him get too scarred. One of the things, if you look back at the history of the game, there's been incidents over the years, and we don't really remember them because unless you're really paying particular attention, they sort of disappear. But there have been times in the past where players have been promoted ahead of their time, so to speak. The coach has persisted in keeping them in first grade, and it's damaged the player, and they just don't quite really get going like they should. And it can affect their confidence. It affects their development within the team, and particularly as a playmaker. So that's really it can have a big influence on him. So I think Ryles, what I saw on the weekend, he handled it perfectly. Riley Smith's back this week. Talon De Silva's on the bench. So where Brown goes, I don't know. But there's every chance, look, come tomorrow, he might get named to 5'8" again. He might play again. He might just give Papali'i one crack, put him back to State Cup for a couple of weeks, and bring him up again in a few weeks' time. So, but I think it's a mature decision from the coach.
Interesting you talk about that, the idea of players potentially getting blooded too early and potentially, long-term damage. Do you think that's happened with Lach-ed Galvin?
It's a funny one.
Because he got dropped on the weekend.
Yeah, he got dropped on the weekend. And, we're led to believe it was a couple of things. He was told earlier in the week that he was not playing. So it's not like he turned up on game day, which can be shattering for a young player. Okay, that was one of the things Brian Smith would often fall out with his players over. He liked to have this. Smith had this idea. He liked to keep them all ready for game day, and then some kids that turn up, some blokes that turn up to play and find out they've just been tapped on the shoulder. Mate, you're not playing today, and it can be quite crushing when you worked yourself up into the frame of mind that you're playing, and then find out you're not playing. So I think Ciraldo did the right thing by telling Galvin earlier in the week.
So what was he trying to achieve by that?
Well, he said after the game, and this is what I expect from Ciraldo, in a good way, he said after the game he just thought he needed 4 forwards on the bench. That's reasonable, okay? It's not normal, but it's understandable.
It's very abnormal.
Yeah, but it does happen, okay? And particularly at a club like Canterbury where you've got players who can. They've got a lot of utility players. They're a little bit like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, they do.
The dogs, so they can. And Bailey Howard at a pinch can go in the halves, which can push. Players around the park. He can play wherever you need him there. The other thing, though, I think, given the upheaval of Galvin arriving at the club. We saw the footage of Reid Marnie going in the dressing room, kicking his bag. So he was clearly upset when he got replaced.
Since signed for the Cowboys.
Sexton since signed to go elsewhere. I think Ciraldo's looked and thought, you know what, there's a little bit of tension here. There's a little bit of we're coming unstuck here with our performances. Galvin probably overplayed his hand a couple of weeks back when he played. Pushed passes. so he wasn't quite fitting into the system, and it just put their whole attack out of sorts a little bit. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, is just get them back on track with the spine that they've played with all season, but also to say to Reid Marnie and to Toby Sexton, you guys are still important here.
Okay.
You guys are still a big part of what happens this season. And given that Galvin hasn't come in and shot the lights out, I think it was a really smart decision to say, you know what, mate, you just have a rest this week, a little bit like Papa Lee. You just have a rest this week, okay? We will bring you through. But he's also saying to Sexton and Reid Marnie, you guys are a long way from done at this club. There's still a long way to go in this season, and I want you to be a big part of that. And they have to be. If Canterbury are going to do what they hope they can do this season, they have to be a big part of it, particularly Marnie. Like he's going to be the starting hooker if they're running out grand final day. There was an assumption that Sexton might get replaced by Galvin, but his form's been really good since Galvin's got there. So he hasn't played poorly. And if you put his performance up against Galvin's performance, he's played better than Galvin. So I like the fact that Ciraldo has just put his arm around both those guys and said, look, there's still a lot of footy to go this season for you guys, and there's a lot for us to do.
Let's win a comp.
And you guys are going to be part of it. So
do you think Gus Gould had anything to do with that? Because it's a little bit of humble pie.
No, I don't think. Oh, look, he could have. Look, that could have. Look, one thing about Gould is he's very good at understanding the psychology of football players. Okay, so but Ciraldo is as well. Like Ciraldo's a smart enough coach to make that decision on his own.
Very impressive in the press conferences, isn't he?
Yeah, well,
Ciraldo, very impressive guy.
He's just a guy who's in control of his situation.
He seems amazingly calm.
Yeah, he's just in control there, and he's got the answer before the question's asked because it's already been thought out at some point. He's not a guy you can't surprise Ciraldo with a question. And sometimes some coaches you can, you know, some coaches you can surprise them enough to get them to say something they don't want to say, and out it goes. But Ciraldo, you can't, because he's thought it all through. That's why I think there's a little bit more to it than him just saying we needed full forwards. I think he was looking at the welfare of the team overall, and particularly just basically giving those two guys a reassurance that they're still important to this year's premiership campaign.
And a loss on the weekend, you could see that the whole story this week would be about dropping Galvin. So he's probably smart. He's probably headed that off at the pass and said, okay, well, let's drop him now. If we get a win, if we get a loss, it doesn't really make a difference.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that. I just think that I just think he needed to get those two guys back on board. He needed to sort of just right the ship a little bit. Yeah, Canterbury they were minor premiers. Not minor premiers. They were leading the competition when Galvin arrived. They've now dropped back to third.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have gone. I wouldn't say they've gone off the rails, but they've stumbled a little bit. So this is just his way of just going, you know what, we just started to drift off course here a little bit.
Okay.
Let's just pull it back. Let's just get back to what we're doing here. You guys are still the priority. And Lockie, you're going to be a big part of the club, but mate, you've got to bide your time. And the one thing Galvin has done since he's arrived there, though, has bought into all that and has acknowledged that he needs to earn his spot in the team. And so, again, it was just a reminder, you need to earn your spot here. And he hasn't played good enough football in what we've seen for him to push Sexton out of the way. So a lot of good coaching in that.
We don't want to go over the whole manager situation again. However, it does seem disadvantageous for Lach-ed Galvin to have left mid-season and now not longer part of the first grade team at any club. You know, if he stayed at the Tigers, he could have potentially lasted out till the end.
It was unfeasible to stay at the Tigers, though.
I get it, but they kind of made that, right? Like,
well, no, he made that as well.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Lockie made that.
Yeah, well, he made. Well, both
his manager made that. Yeah,
they did. And look,
and the Tigers blew it up as well.
West can say what they like, but they also made him feel uncomfortable once he made the decision. So, look, I said it right at the very beginning of all that. It was untenable. He wouldn't be there at the end of this season. That's the way it is. And look, you know what? Just suck it and move on.
Let's not talk hypotheticals. Mate, with Bailey Hayward, last thing on Lach-ed Galvin, Bailey Hayward and Kurt Mann both play 14.
Yeah.
Has Galvin come back into the team without an injury?
Oh, look, I think they'll try and give him a run, because the other thing you want to do is Cameron Ciraldo's got to build a team that is going to win a comp, for this season. He doesn't want to get to round 26 and touch wood, Toby Sexton goes down injured, and suddenly he's got to introduce Lach-ed Galvin in the team that hasn't played.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to give him a run here between here and he'll give him regular runs, and he'll just try to give him not a lot of minutes, but just look at how he's playing. If he's playing well, keep him on.
Will he play New South Wales Cup?
I think he might. Yeah, I think they've got to keep him match fit. So he'll play New South Wales Cup if he's not going to start or not going to be in the 17 that runs onto the field.
All right, Kenty, developing story out of Newcastle with Michael Shamus breaking a story this afternoon that Adam O'Brien could be on his way out.
Yeah, that Shamus has written in the Sydney Morning Herald that they're exploring ways now whether they pay him out at the end of this season. A bit of surprise was he did sign a 2-year extension. He enacted a 2-year extension last year by making top 12, which got him a 26 and 27 season at the Knights. According to Shamus, though, they're looking to move him on now. Interesting. They've had a really sort of uneven year, the Knights. I think they've been quite poor at times. They've really struggled in attack at different times. So look, someone within the joint has made a decision by the looks of it. So we'll follow it as it continues.
We believe that payout's about $600,000, and that was a clause, which was a ratchet clause, which went in when he qualified last year. The interesting thing, I think the reason why this is interesting is because we'll talk about Des a little bit later, but obviously if Des moves on at the Titans, then a whole lot of new players, a whole lot of new coaches come into play. Yeah,
well, look, if the Titans move on Des, as we're led to believe, what that brings into play is all these young coaches that are coming through, okay? Now, obviously, one of the guys that they're talking about is Josh Hannay at Cronulla. He's the assistant at Cronulla. He said he won't leave Cronulla unless it's for a head coaching role. But he's been on the tip of their tongues up there. But the other one that they've sort of has had a bit of a mention around the Titans' job is Blake Green, who is currently the attacking coach at Newcastle. Now, whether the Knights have got a little bit spooked by that and thought, well, hang on, we've got a big future here, we think, with Blake Green, and they don't want to lose him to Titans, and that sort of made them move a little bit early. I don't know, but all those young coaches that are coming through, Dean Young's another one. Dean Young's got a really big reputation around the game as a future good head coach. So. It's just manoeuvring. I think
I've heard Newcastle are keen on him.
The Knights would be. He's a sort of. Thing about Dean Young, and I love this about him, he's just no nonsense. He's tough, and he would be the perfect fit for a place like Newcastle because that's how he played his footy, that's how he will coach his team, and that's how Newcastle identifies itself. So he'd really work from that side of things. He's got a real good fit with the Knights. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens with O'Brien at the moment. That's the big story right now.
So let's just guess a bit. Maybe what we're thinking is that Josh Hannay was going to the Titans, and Newcastle said, okay, well, if we're going to lose him here, maybe it's time to move O'Brien on, and maybe we'll get Josh Hannay.
Well, that could be after Josh. They could be trying to hang on to Blake Green. Like, it depends. I don't know what they're thinking at the moment. But certainly, it's a real sort of domino effect when a coach moves on. All the usual names get trotted out as their potential next coach. All the young gun assistants, they're all there. I don't know where they're going. The story's evolving as we're speaking, was, to be honest, and I'll wait to see where the denials come from. But also, I think generally when these situations happen, it's old smoke, there's fire situation. So we'll wait and see.
Did you see the Sharks on the weekend? What did you think?
I'm really happy for Nico Hines. He got back to his running game, which I liked. That's his threat. He scored a try early, which was good for his confidence. Cronulla are a better side than when he's playing, running the ball.
So they're back in the 8 now?
They're back in the 8. Look, Cronulla, they're the sort of the puzzle, aren't they? We thought they were the team during the Origin period would make a move. They've averaged, I think, they've lost 4 out of 5 during Origin, and they've averaged 32 points against. And they were, I think, Craig Fitzgibbon said after the game that their defence was second best in the competition before that period. And suddenly that's just been blown out of the water. So for whatever reason, their defence has fallen off. They went back, they came up. I know that they didn't have their full complement that they're playing against.
Yeah, but no one does it this time of the season.
No, but but they're out without Tabuai-Fidow, okay, the Dolphins, which was a big out.
Sorry, the Dolphins are out.
No, I'm talking about the Dolphins.
Sorry.
Yeah, they were out. So he's a big attacking threat that they had to defend.
Lost both front rowers.
Yeah, but I just think from defensive point of view, Cronulla, they were okay. I think that Fitzgibbon wants them to improve a lot more than what he saw. But I just think that, they're back. Look, they're going to be in the fight. They've got a lot of improvement between here and the finals. But luckily, they've got 8 weeks roughly to go. What is it, 7 weeks to go now? 8 weeks to go. 8 weeks to go now. So, look, they've got time to improve, and they've got to get it back. They're trying to find their mojo again, Cronulla. They've just fallen off for whatever reason.
It's interesting because at the start of the season when they signed Fanua Blake, everybody was like, "Well, this is the final piece," you know.
Well, it was, but their attack fell apart. With everyone's got their theory on Cronulla. I think they're just playing too lateral. They're not playing direct enough, and I think that was partly because of Nico. Nico got in this habit of drifting across field. And we would have preferred him just to straighten up and go for it. He started to get back to that a little bit on the weekend. That's what I'm talking about. I liked what he did. But in the meantime, their defence has fallen off. So that's got to be picked up. But again, will they make the top 4? I don't know.
I don't think they can make the top 4.
Yeah, well, we wait and see.
I think they'll struggle to make the 8. I mean, they're in the 8. They're in the chase for the 8. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But I want to talk to you about one team who had a clunky win, I thought, on the weekend. But, you know, we always talk about it as a favourite, and that's Melbourne.
I'm not too concerned. Yeah, look.
You think they turn around now post-Origin? Players
look, they've got all. Look, they've still got a. They're a club still where one of their biggest players is at a deeply upsetting period in his life. Okay, with Cameron Munster, and they feel that emotionally as well. The players, they had to go up to Townsville to play the game. Not all the Origin players played. Munster clearly, obviously, didn't play. Harry Grant got out there, but he's playing 3 days after an Origin game, and they celebrated the Origin game too. Melbourne do this a lot. They will get into this period now. They've got through Origin relatively unscathed. I think they've actually gone up on the ladder from 3rd to 2nd during the Origin period.
Bellamy's back full time. He helped out at the New South Wales.
Yeah, Bellamy's back. And the thing is, what they'll do now is they will just really grind down on their consistency, and that'll be consistency from week to week, but also consistency within the game from minute 1 to minute 80, and that'll be their big focus. And Melbourne do it better than anybody. They're like a Bar Cummings racehorse on Melbourne Cup Day. They've just been trained for it, and they know when to peak. They know when to get there. There's no point flogging everybody at this point of the season. And we've seen before teams have got to this point of the year. And everyone's going, geez, who's going to beat them? But come round 23, they're starting to hit a flat spot. And that's what they've got to guard against. And Bellamy, what he'll do now is he'll give them a few weeks. I think he'll probably try and freshen a few up after Origin. And then with about 6 weeks to go, what he'll do is he'll pour the hard work in. And then what he does is a couple of weeks, he begins to sort of freshen them up a bit again.
Taper at the end.
Yeah, and they just try to come into the finals with some momentum. So, they've all got their different philosophies on how they do it, but I've got no concerns at all about Melbourne being ready to come finals. To me, they're still the team to beat.
Yep.
Yeah, they're still the team to beat. So, and it wasn't great on the weekend, but they just got the job done. And it would have been one of those, boys, let's go out, do your job, get the job done, and get on the plane home. And then we'll start again.
Yep. One of the other teams who are a team to beat is the Warriors, who
they were impressive.
In the end, they beat West comfortably.
Yeah.
But West played well for periods at the time.
Yeah. Look, I think West had a real crack, and the sad thing for the Tigers is given the win last week, if they got a win over the Warriors, who are a top 4 side at the moment,
first game without the halfback
without Metcalf, and that's why I think the Warriors were vulnerable. They could have, pinched it a little bit. Tigers are a bit tighter in their game.
What do you think of the Warriors with Tanner Boyd?
I think they're still learning, but Tanner Boyd, I think Webster's a very good coach, and I think the way he's got them playing is he will have them. I think Tanner Boyd will be able to really fit into that system.
Okay.
I think he's got this is your job at halfback, and this is all you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Boyd's good enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll take a little bit of getting used to, but I think he'll come on as a footballer for the remainder of this season, Boyd. I think it'll take a few weeks for the Warriors to get used to him, but I think that they're going to. I don't think they'll miss Metcalf as much as what we all think they're going to miss him. Yeah, which is more reflection. I think Boyd will do a good job. Yeah, I think so. I think they're still in with the fight, and clearly they're not giving up on it.
It's almost like the Melbourne Storm system that they create, that's going on over at the Warriors. They've got this system under Webster, and the next man up mentality, and Tanner comes in.
Next man up, and they play a style of footy where, and this is very Melbourne, you do your job, okay, and that's it. You do your job, and if we all do our job, we win the game.
Yeah.
And Webster's done a really good job of that at the Warriors, and that's what he did with Metcalf. Metcalf, as well as he was good a young player as he was, and he was a highly talented young kid. It took him getting to the Warriors before we really saw that, and that's the coaching of Andrew Webster, who brought that out of him. And I think Boyd's a similar type. But Boyd was a talented young kid, and he probably at NRL level, he hasn't hit that level that we thought he was going to get to at some point. But I think now, knowing particularly the fact that Metcalf is hurt, so it's, mate, you are our guy. It's not like Metcalf's had a week off and will be coming back, and he just thinks I'm temporary.
We got no other option, mate.
Yeah,
you're it.
And he's it. And I think you'll get confidence out of that. And Webster will put a system around him that will help him really flourish. So I think it was good signs for him.
So where to for West now? I mean, Taylor May scored 3 tries in reserve in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah. And against the Warriors, who are leading the comp.
Yeah.
So that was a really strong attacking effort from Taylor May. I don't think it'll be long before he's in first grade.
Okay.
I think they can really do with him. Look, they've got some good players. Adam Dewey, the hard part for the Tigers is Adam Dewey, which you would normally say, well, you'll put him in his spot, put him in the centres there, take Dewey's spot, put Dewey as a 14, or you can't put him at 6 with Luai there. But Dewey played so well on the weekend in first grade. So I don't know what they're going to do, but for a bloke like Benji, it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
One quick thing, is that it for the Tigers? They're done for the year?
Oh, they've got to win every game from here on. So I think, they're at that point. They can make it. Look, I had a look at the ladder. Was every team mathematically can still make the 8. Okay, if we work on the theory that 30 points will be the cutoff to make the finals, which was the cutoff last season. So every team can still get there, but I wouldn't be putting my house on the Tigers getting there.
I want to ask you about that, right? So the Roosters, Sharks, Manly, they're all tied for 8th and 9th on 22.
They're all on,
Dolphins on 20.
Yeah, well, they're only a game behind. Yeah, well, they're only a game behind.
Did the Roosters finish the Dragon season on the weekend?
Well, mathematically, no, but I think, yes, I think the problem for the Dragons is there's too many teams ahead of them, so they're not all going to fall away from them. And what I can't see in the Dragons is just that them getting on a run. It's not like you're waiting for a couple of players to get back, or they're a little bit out of form and you're just waiting for them to hit form. They have been scrappy all season, and when I say scrappy, I mean it in a good way. They have fought for every victory. In many ways, I think the Dragons have overachieved. I thought Dragons were definitely a bottom 4 team. I didn't think they win wooden spoon because of Shane Flanagan's coaching, but their talent in their roster, that's where they sort of probably should have sat. But he's done a good job, Flanagan.
They got a tough draw ahead of them. I just want to ask you about the Cowboys. They're on 17, one below the Dragons.
Yeah.
That loss on the weekend
again,
smashed them.
They've got to go on a run again, haven't they, the Cowboys? So they've got to win. They've got 7 games left. They've still got to buy up their sleeve. But I still think they've got, of the 7 games, they've probably got to win all 7. Maybe they can drop 1 if they get a bit of luck. But tough year. I thought that the Cowboys would be a bit better this year too. So I thought they'd be a top 8 side this year, the Cows.
Mate, last one, quick one on the Broncos Titans. Des says reports of his imminent departure are unfounded.
Yeah, it's a funny one. Look, I said it last week. I wasn't the only one that said it last week. I've got it
You're the first to say it, I think.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I know where it come from.
Yeah.
I wonder whether Des has been told, actually, now that I look at that. But they do have a clause in there that says if they don't make the 8, they can sack him.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty good.
Funny one.
I thought that was pretty good on the weekend.
It's a funny one, right? Because I really like Des, and I think Des, given his time, could improve the place. Mm-hmm. There was a story last week that he's lost the players, that they don't sort of respond to his kooky ways at different times. Mm-hmm. I could see that happening a little bit because Des does like to keep you off balance with that sort of stuff. Okay, and it's a way of his to control the players in the playing group. But yeah, look, my understanding is that he won't be there next season. Des is fighting to be there next season. Mm-hmm. Again, they have to win every game, the Titans, to avoid that. I don't think they'll do that. No. And I think the club is already looking at other coaches. So that's not a good sign for Des. But, Des is an old battle-hardened coach.
Relax.
Yeah, he is, mate. And look, he... if there's one coach that could drag him out of it, it's Des, but we just have to wait and see. I don't think they really have the roster there to do it, but they've got some good forwards. They've been battling for a halfback all year.
Very good.
Which is the weekend's going to upset them because the 4 halfbacks in the top 4 over the weekend were all former Titans players.
What about that?
Well, that just shows me that their whole recruitment is wrong. Okay.
So Fogarty played for the Raiders 2017 to 21.
Yep.
Jerome Hughes, 2013.
Yeah, as a fullback, though, we must say that, yeah.
Toby Sexton played the Titans 21 to 23, and then Tano Boyd played there 29 to 24. So all 4 of the top 4 teams all had a player playing anyway. Yeah,
all 4 halfbacks in the top 4 teams, yeah. And that's the irony, the cruelty of rugby league, is that's what the Titans really need, is a game-managing halfback right now. If they had that, they'd be a different team.
Anyway, Kenty, another Monday. Thank you very much, everybody. Until tomorrow, we'll see you then.